I'm Kim, and today I'm going to show you how to do a very easy craft, and it is making fabric envelopes. Now that may sound funny, but it's exactly what it sounds like. They're little envelopes that are made of fabric. I discovered this craft probably about 10 years ago in a magazine, and they had no instructions whatsoever, so I just kind of made it up as I went along. But they're really an awesome way to give a gift. You make the little envelope, and then you put your gift inside, and then you can give them this. And it's kind of like a gift in a gift, and I can't tell you how many of my friends just absolutely have loved receiving these. In fact, it's gotten to the point where they request having them. But I started using them just for like gift cards, gift certificates, that kind of thing. And then I just started finding other uses for them, like giving jewelry, giving DVDs. So the colors, the sizes, the uses are absolutely endless. Here's one that's kind of fallish looking. Here's another one, just to give you an idea. So a great way to use up scrap fabric that you have laying around your house is to do these. So I'm going to show you how to do them today. You only have to have very, very basic sewing skills, and I'll show you exactly what you need to get it done. Okay, let's take our first step. The first step is to determine what size you want your envelope to be. So I just measured a CD and determined that this was probably going to be a good length. And so you cut out 3 different things at this point. You cut out your main fabric, you cut out the fusible web, and then you cut out your liner. Let me give you a tip. When deciding on how big to make it, it's actually better to go slightly larger than you think you're going to need than smaller. We can always cut it down, and larger is easier to work with, especially when you're dealing with the sewing machine. And then also, when you go to make the flap of your envelope, it's better to have this part a little bit longer than shorter, because if it's too short, it'll have a tendency to stick straight out and not look so pretty. So let's get to the next step, which is ironing everything together. Okay, welcome to my laundry room. Now I'm going to show you how to fuse all of these things together. You want to take the right side of the fabric, the pretty side, and put it down first. So what's on the top is the wrong side of the fabric. Although this fabric is pretty on both sides, so I'm not going to call it the not pretty side. Then you next put the fusible web down. Now just follow the directions on this, but it should be fairly apparent. When you go to use this, you'll notice that this part is sticky on the one side, and then there's paper on the top side. The paper is what you want to iron, not the sticky side. Now you'll set your iron on medium, which is the wool setting. And this paper adheres really fast to this. You do not have to iron it for very long. I think the directions say 5 seconds or something like that. And as soon as I start to iron this, I can see that it's starting to fuse to the fabric here. Okay, once you've ironed it, just test it a little bit, let it cool, and then test it to make sure it's on there. You just pull up a little corner of it, and the paper part comes right off. Nice and easy. Now you'll see, I don't know if you can see this in the camera or not, but this is very shiny, and that just means it's on there good. Then you take your liner. Now like I said before, I like to make the liner slightly longer, because when I'm done ironing this onto here, they're going to be fused together, and then I can just cut all the way around it so the fabrics line up exactly. Saves you a lot of time from having to line up your fabrics beforehand, because it just never happens. So this way, you don't have to worry about it too much. You don't have to think. And again, we don't have to iron it really long. I think I usually iron it slightly longer than I do the fusible web, just to make sure that they really stick. And it's done. These 2 fabrics are totally stuck together. And what that'll do is when we cut all this off, that'll be our liner for our envelope. How easy is that? Okay, the next thing we're going to do is cut out our fabric. Now I'm using pinking shears, and if you don't know what pinking shears are, they're just scissors that are zigzagged on the edge, and what that does is it keeps your fabric from fraying. And this is what I was talking about before too, that you didn't have to worry about measuring up your fabrics perfectly beforehand, because now, because they're fused together, it's just like cutting out one piece of fabric. I just am going to cut along this line that is on the fabric. I never measure. If you want to, you can, but I usually just eyeball it. That's good enough. we're done cutting out our fabric. Now we've got the front side and the back side, and I'm going to show you how to sew them together to make a wonderful little envelope. Okay, now comes the sewing part, and it's very easy. You just take the pretty side, the outside of your envelope, and you fold up what's basically going to be the inside of it. So when you reverse it, it's going to look like this, and then this will be the flat. But in order to sew it, we go right side to right side. And then this will be the top part of our envelope that will come over. So you only want to go however high you want to fit your project. And again, I'm not measuring anything, I'm just eyeballing it. That's all you have to do. Okay, when you're done, it should look like this. And all we've done is made a stitch down this side, made a stitch down this side. So the next thing you'll want to do is just flip it inside out, or actually right side out. And there we go. We've got the beginnings of our envelope. So the next step is to apply the trim. So let's do that. So this is quite possibly my favorite part of the whole process, because this is when you start to see it really start to come together and looking really pretty. So what I like to do is just kind of measure it a little bit beforehand, so you're not working with such a big piece of trim. So I just kind of measure out where I'm going to put the trim. So I start up here in the left-hand corner of the envelope, and then just measure around everywhere where I'm going to put my trim. Give myself a little bit of working error space there. Now, I usually start, like I said, at the top. It's if you're looking at it from your side, the top right here. And then just run a line of hot glue down the side. Just attach the trim kind of quickly, like that. Now when you approach a corner, a good idea is to stop just short of your corner, and then run your glue along the side of it, and then just kind of work it in there best as you can. So you'll see a little bit of the fabric sticking up at the top. I usually just take a pair of scissors and cut that off of there, but you just kind of make as good of a transition as you can there. Okay, for the final step of our project, I just took a little button and hot glued it. I'm a cheater. I don't like to sew more than I have to, so I just hot glued it on here. Certainly if you wanted to, you could put snaps on here and snap it together, but it's really not necessary. The final thing I would probably do is just touch it up with an iron so you can get it to lay flat. And if after that it still doesn't want to lay flat, just put it face down with some books on top of it for a couple of days, and it'll do exactly what you want it to do. Thank you so much for joining me on this. I wish you luck when you do this project, and send me pictures. I'd love to see how it turns out for you. Thanks so much.